My name is Ann Alton. I'm the physical therapist here at Illinois Regional Pain Institute. I wanted to talk about caregiving and being in chronic pain at the same time. A lot of us have, at least at one point or another, been also in charge of taking care of somebody that we love. And that's really hard to balance your own needs with the needs of your loved one. And most of us that have had chronic pain kind of have chronic pain because we don't want to slow down. We kind of ignore the signs to begin with. You know, there's been a lot of people will, you know, when they find out that I work with people with chronic pain, they'll, oh, you know, that poor thing. And really, you know, like, actually, it's a great population to work with because most of us, we have to slow down rather than speed up. The reason why we're on the couch is because the body has just said, no, we're done. And that, you know, it's a matter of trying to learn how to pace ourselves rather than laziness or any of the other things that we get accused of. So, you know, we all know, we've all heard, you know, you put on your own oxygen mask before helping your seatmate with their oxygen mask, you know, when you're in an airplane. You can't get high.
I was on a field trip.
You were on a field trip.
Thank God I'm here. Thank God I'm here now. It was so fun.
And so she sits right next to me because she smells so wonderful.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just going to smell you. I don't have the llamas.
So, okay, so we were talking about, you know, you need to put on your own oxygen mask before helping your seatmate.
When I sit next to
Right?
Just now.
Just now, I need an oxygen mask. Can't get water from an empty well. Does anybody else have any other things that people have told them, you know, reasons why you have to take care of yourself first? Can't drink from an empty cup.
I don't think anybody ever told me that.
No?
No.
No? Okay. Oprah says this on occasion, that you have to take care of yourself before you take care of somebody else, right?
Well, she takes care of herself.
Yeah.
How about you'll die before they do?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know, caretakers?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, I actually have as well. So we all know this. So why don't we take care of ourselves first? So I was thinking about this, trying to figure out. Like, we all know.
It's like guilt.
Everybody. Well, yeah. We've got this whole thing going. We know what we're supposed to do to take care of ourselves. We know that we're supposed to do our exercise. We know we're supposed to eat right. We know why don't we do it? Okay. So
spoons.
They're spoons, but you should be putting yourself first, right? So why don't we do that? So my theory on this is that it's a habit. Okay, and bear with me. All right, because at first I thought about this, I was like, no way. But then I started really thinking about what a habit really is and how it works in terms of neuroscience, in terms of our brain and our behavior. And in terms of neuroscience, a habit is you have a trigger, so an event that happens, you have a motivation and a need to, and then a behavior to fill that need. Okay. So, for example, we get anxious or upset, and we find ourselves in front of the refrigerator. Okay. Or we have a bad day at work, and we find ourselves driving through the drive-thru to get the extra sweet tea, or the big Diet Coke, or whatever it is that is maybe not the best for us. Okay. In our minds, the brain gets really good at kind of shortcutting this whole thing. Because initially, when we make habits, it's, I have this trigger, family member needs help. I feel anxious about this family member. I feel anxious about their health. I feel anxious about what's going to happen. I feel unworthy of help, of being here on planet Earth unless I'm doing something to help somebody else. There's a whole lot of kind of emotions that can get caught up in this whole thing. But then we do a behavior to kind of quell that need, or to kind of satisfy that need in us, which ends up being caretaking. So pretty soon, the brain starts to predict, oh, every time you get yelled at, we gotta go have a cigarette. Or every time somebody says, you know, I need some help, we go rush to help them. And I see this happen when I get people come in for therapy, when they themselves are a caretaker, and I ask them, have you done your home exercises? And they say, nope, I can't lie, I haven't done a thing. Why not? I have been too busy. I ask you to do something that's going to take a minute and a half. 5 minutes tops. Tell me you don't have that kind of time. Well, I know, but well, what's happening is it's not a mindful choice. We're doing because that's our automatic response. When somebody asks for help, we feel like we're on this treadmill and we have to do. Okay? And so this becomes the habit instead of taking care of ourselves. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. So some examples of like trigger leads to direct behavior. Standing in front of the refrigerator. How many people have found yourself standing in front of the refrigerator? You're not hungry. You don't know how you got there. You just have it open and you're like, nope, nothing's changed since I looked 5 minutes ago.
It's like muscle memory.
Right? You just go and you're like, what am I doing here? Well, something triggered. We don't know what. But something triggered this need to go to the refrigerator to make ourselves feel better by eating something, or, you know, lighting up cigarettes, hitting the snooze button in the morning. Oh, that's a bad one for me. This is a bad one for me. I do this. Don't even think about it. You know, initially you get the fun, you're like, okay, I can get 10 more minutes. Now it's just like, bam. I don't even have to look. I just know where it is. Muscle memory. All right, muscle memory really is a type of habit.
It is muscle memory.
So basically, you know, note that this is not to say that you don't need to be a caregiver, or that you don't, you know, that your caregiving activities are something that you shouldn't be doing. This is that level of caregiving that completely ignores all your own needs. You know, I know one person in particular who it was difficult for this person to get a shower twice a week because they were too busy and felt like they didn't have the time to get a shower in. I'm like, wow, you need some help. This person got help, and still there's no time to get a shower. What's this about? Okay? And so the idea is, let's not put the other person ahead of yourself to the detriment of your own self. Okay? But if it's a habit, how do we break a habit?
Painfully.
Habits are hard to break. Habits are really, really ingrained neural pathways and neural signatures that happen when we practice something over and over
decades
and over again.
Decades
okay?
of.
And it can be something just as simple as when I get, if I have my office on the 4th floor, and then we move, and I get on the elevator to go to the 3rd floor, I hit 4. Just because that's what we do. When my brain says, we get in this elevator, we hit 4. Okay? So the first step in breaking the habit is just kind of watch yourself do it. Just kind of call this mindful mindlessness. Okay, you're just kind of watching yourself go, look at you, you're going over to that refrigerator again. Or look at you, you were going to go take a shower.
The couch.
Right?
That's why you're going over the couch again.
You were going to go take 5 minutes to take some time to de-stress, but the person that you're caregiving for has just called you and asked for something, and so you're going there instead. Even though it could wait. not, I mean, granted, some things just can't wait. All right, I get that. But some things can. And so, just kind of watching yourself. Look at you do that. What's going on with that? What are you feeling? What's this about?
I'm trying to get my mom here today. I tried to get her here.
And we'll sit her down and make her watch the YouTube.
She so needs to see this.
So, yeah, so just kind of watching, but the idea with this is no judgment, okay? Because obviously this is serving a purpose, okay? And your brain is really trying to just, I mean, it's a good thing that we shortcut things. We don't have to think it through every single time, okay? We do this on purpose. Brains do this on purpose, and when you're under stress, it does this even more, because the hormones will actually shut down parts of your brain that make conscious decisions, which is good, because if you're running from a bear, you really don't want to be weighing your options. You really just want to make the decision quickly. Right?
Right.
Okay? So the whole idea is just kind of watching this happen, and just kind of watching how do you handle this? What are you doing? What are you feeling? Eventually, there will be a moment in time where you can feel there's a little bit of a gap between that stimulus and response. You're going to find that, you're going to hear that person say, and you're going to stop, and you're going to be like, oh, what am I feeling? And then you'll have a little space to make a conscious choice. Okay? So you have to understand, though, that like I said just earlier, that stress will shut down this frontal lobe part that makes decisions. There's 3 basic tasks that the frontal lobe does. The monitor, so figuring out what's going on, okay? The motivator, getting you to do what you need to do. And the fortune teller, which is predicting outcomes, okay? Those things all get kind of shut down when you're in this automatic response mode.
Right.
Okay. The hormones will shut that down. But stress and self-criticism is stressful. I mean, self-criticism is stressful. So self-criticism is going to shut down your ability to make conscious choices. This is why when you watch yourself doing these things, you want to try to hold that non-judgmental point of view. That makes some sense.
I think that's more stressful than with other people, actually.
I think we do. We hold our own feet to the fire way harder than anybody else does. Everybody else looks at your life and go, how are you doing all of that? And you're like, you do what you got to do. Right?
Yeah.
All right. So eventually you get to a point where, here's the trigger. I know that when mom calls me for help, even if I'm doing some self-care, even if I drop everything and tend to her, even if it can wait. Okay? And I know that, if I hear her call for me, then I feel anxious, because what if she's fallen? What if she's, if she doesn't get it, she's going to get angry, or she's going to be frustrated, or she's going to be whatever. Everybody's situation is a little bit different, but you kind of notice that trigger point and what's happening then afterwards, and you can kind of be able to predict. The idea behind this is that you're very clear then about what kinds of behavior are causing suffering. Okay? And by suffering, I mean that you are, this behavior is, just go ahead and pull that behind. Oh, I didn't see it.
I've been waiting for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot. Sorry I'm late.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm actually going very fast through this, so we may have a lot more discussion time than we usually do. But so basically, we're noticing what behavior is causing suffering, and it may be, hey, you know what? I necessarily have to have time to do this in the mornings, so that and it could be a stretching routine. It could be a quiet cup of coffee. It could be a prayer time. It could be whatever it is, but it whatever that is, you get really jealous about guarding that time. Okay, And I mean, granted, you know, somebody falls down, you're gonna, that's an emergency. But if it's, you know, I want my cup of coffee, you know what, that can wait another 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So you become very, very clear about what's causing the suffering, and the natural desire to change will come from that awareness. And that makes the change that much easier to do. Okay. The next step in this process is then changing the response to the trigger. And that can be, great, I'd be glad to get you a cup of coffee, be there in about 3 or 4 minutes. Or something along those lines, or even just setting out, just changing the entire situation so the trigger doesn't occur. You know, possibly even letting that person know, hey, from 8:15 to 8:20, I'm unavailable. I'm showering. Or whatever the case may be. Okay, 5-minute shower is pretty quick, but you know what I'm talking about. You know, just kind of changing that expectation. And granted, not everybody's gonna understand. So, you know, depending on who we're caregiving for, there may be some cognitive difficulties where that person doesn't understand from 8:15 to 8:20. But that may be a time when you get somebody to come in and help. And then you jealously guard that time. And so the thing to be clear about, though, and I didn't write this down, is that old habits die hard. Okay? So even if you do manage to change this this pattern of behavior, there will be times when things are stressful enough where you're going to fall right back into your old pattern of behavior. And that's okay. I mean, that's not really a failing. It's just that pathway is pretty much always going to be there. It may grow over like a pathway in the woods if you don't use it for very, use it, but it will still kind of be there. And just use that to give yourself a little bit of compassion when you find yourself doing something you don't want to be doing. It's like, darn it, I did it again. I put myself on the back burner, and if I don't get a hold of this, I'm going to lose my mind, and I'm going to be in the hospital on the 8th floor, and nobody's going to be here to take care of my son or my daughter or whoever, right? Right. Okay, so that kind of, knowing that pathway will kind of always be there, is just to give yourself a little bit of compassion, that if you do slip back and you do, treat yourself like a second-class citizen, it's okay. You have another chance. You'll probably have another chance in 15 minutes. Okay?
True.
Okay. All right. So my hope is that people will try to reach out and find help. There are patient advocates, and I recognize that a lot of these things cost money. There are some of them that are covered under insurance. Sometimes they're not. But you can reach out to local nonprofits and senior centers that are in the area. They may have networking and better knowledge of services that are available in the area. If you're working with somebody who has, Down syndrome, for example, you can look for your local chapter of whatever condition that is. So your local Alzheimer's chapters, often they are very willing to at least give you some emotional support, if nothing else. And that's the big key right there. I was talking to a patient this morning, and I told her what the topic was, and she was like, oh my goodness, she said, I remember that year that I moved in with my mother before she passed on, and she said that was so hard. But she said the thing that really made a difference to me was that my daughter's fiance moved in with us. And she said, I just remember there were a couple times I broke down, and all he did was just hold me so that I could cry. You know, she said talking about it is fine. You know, getting on the phone to a friend is fine, but sometimes that physical support goes a long way as well.
And she only dealt with it for a year.
She only dealt with it for a year.
Lucky her.
I
I
don't
had it
feel
for
like
7.5 to 8 years.
No. Yeah. But she, you know, she did say, you know, that having that physical support there really was helpful. Just, you know, and there were times when she would be, you know, just like, okay, I can't do this right now. I can't talk to you about how I'm stealing your money anymore. You know? And so, you know, she would allow for her daughter's fiance to kind of step in and so there's, you know, there's some home health. Palliative care can be something that you can look into. A lot of insurance companies will pay for that. I don't know if you're familiar with palliative care or not, but it's basically they send in a social worker, and the social worker will look over your situation and help you determine what services you need. If you need home PT, or if you need a nurse come in, or if you just need somebody to come in and clean the dishes, or, you know, that sort of thing, and kind of help to coordinate all of those different options. And that is available for anyone who has a serious illness. And it doesn't have to be progressive, doesn't have to be fatal. It just could be just a very serious illness. So COPD, that sort of thing.
What was the name of that company?
It's palliative care is the type of, it's letter E here on number 5. I spelled it for you. OSF has a service available, and so does Unity Point. And those are the two that I'm aware of in the area. But I do know that some other companies will send in somebody to kind of help you to see what services are out there and available. I do have phone numbers for those if you want those before you leave. I can look them up for you.
I have dealt with this with my husband and my mother. There is no free help out there.
No.
There is nobody at your church who's going to help you. Agency on Aging is not going to help you. You can get help if you have a lot of this. And I mean a lot. And if you have no family, like I do, it's just a one-person band. And I had him on one end and her on the other end. And I'm in the middle. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. You're fine.
If you have phone numbers that work, fine. But I have not found anybody.
Okay. Yeah. And I would be glad to hear if you call and you're unsatisfied or satisfied, either way. Very much. Okay. Absolutely. If your experience is different from what I'm saying, please speak up. Because that's, honestly, we're all here to learn, and sometimes I talk about things that, I was a caregiver for a while, but it was, a year and a half, and I had my husband with me, so,
Right.
Everybody's situation is much different, and, you can try to lay out basics, but it's not always gonna, it's gonna be unique for every person. But I really want to make sure that you put you on the priority list, and I even mean number 1 on the priority list. Okay, because without you, like you say, you might die before they do.
Yeah.
You will. Unfortunately, you will. It happens every time.
Huh?
I said, I haven't yet.
Yeah, haven't yet.
I had mom for 8 years.
So, the do nots. The do not pretend everything is fine, because you do need to grieve for things that are lost.
You don't have time if you're helping, so it's hard, if you're helping someone, there's no time to grieve.
It's very difficult.
It's just sort of like you're in the survival mode, like you were saying.
Yes.
Surviving.
But pretending everything is fine, again, I think that can be classified as a habit. How many of us were raised in homes where things were not fine? but everything was just fine. You go to school, everything's fine.
It's like leave it
You
to
know?
Beaver.
Right,
Kind of, yeah.
right. How many people, when somebody asks you how are you, how many people say I'm fine
A lot of times.
or I'm good?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, do you ever think about when you go to the doctor
Uh-huh.
and the nurse or whoever's taking you to
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
and how are you today? Well, if I was okay, would I be here?
It is a rather ironic
Yep.
question.
So often when I bring people back, I ask them how they are. They say, I'm fine. And I bring people back and I say, okay, now I'm going to ask you the same question all over again. How
For
are
real.
you? I want the actual answer.
I always say it could be better if I'm not having to good stuff.
Yeah, I try to say, I'm here.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Say,
Alive, awake.
I'm not dead yet.
Right.
All
Working
right.
on it, getting
Could be
close.
worse.
Okay, not
Could
dead yet.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
Top side of the turf. Another favorite one of mine.
Irish.
But acknowledge that even you don't. I mean, grief is funny in that it doesn't occur all in one big block of time. We tend to do it in kind of stages and little bits and pieces and parts anyway. So it may be that you grieve a little bit when you're brushing your teeth, or you grieve a little bit when you're in the shower, or when you're on the way to the grocery store and you roll up your windows and you scream the nastiest word you can think of really, really loud. That's my favorite trick. If you ever, seriously,
Never
if you
thought of that.
Good, I like that.
If you ever see me driving down the street and my mouth is open, I'm not singing.
Just stay away. Stay away.
I am not singing. I am screaming. Anyway, but that's my favorite one because nobody can hear you in there.
It's a good little
Yeah.
game.
Right? Especially
Yeah.
when you're going down the highway at 70 miles per hour. Anyway, please don't shy away from telling people about your situation. We have a tendency to, especially in our culture, want to put out this facade that everything is okay. I love that phrase, hopefully my life is everything my Facebook says it is, right? We only put the nice things on Facebook. We only put the graduations and the, oh, look at this great meal I have today, kind of thing. We don't talk about the back pain or the chronic illness or whatever.
Yeah.
Try not to shy away from asking for help. When you go to your doctor and they ask you how you are, well, no, I'm not doing good because I'm trying to balance the X, Y, and Z. All right. They may have answers, they may not, but it's still good to get it out and get the frustration out. And I didn't write down what. I will try to put it up on the YouTube video, the blog that I got this from. But it was a chronic illness website, and one thing that they said was, don't shy away from sharing your difficulties with the person that you care for. And part of the reason why they said that is because that person is probably feeling, in some ways, like they're a burden and not able to do anything that's worthwhile, and they can offer you emotional support. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Not my case.
No, not your case. Okay. But that, and then sometimes, they can help you problem solve. But again, that doesn't necessarily work in every situation. I thought that was an interesting idea.
That is, because you want to hide so that they don't feel like a burden, so you want to hide.
Yeah.
But
in reality,
you only both kind of get screwed there, so.
Right. Something to consider. Okay, it may not work for every situation, but it's something to consider. And then my last one is don't neglect your own health. Just smile, because that's what this whole thing's about, really. With chronic pain, we often get into kind of this treadmill of survival mode. And even if it's just about 2 minutes, even 1 minute of I'm not doing anything, I'm not asking myself to do anything right now. That can give your body a break. Okay, it can give that rest, relax, and restore system a chance to kind of catch up with the rest of your body. Okay, because once you're in that survival mode and you're on that treadmill 24/7, your body doesn't have a chance to relax or rest. You're gonna run out sooner or later.
My place is in the basement, doing the laundry, sorting the laundry, and everybody knows not to bother me when I'm sorting laundry. And I can hear the kids running around looking for me upstairs. And I'm just quietly sitting down there with the iPad, sorting laundry. They have no idea where I am, and it just makes me happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's just kids. That's not like parents. That's just kids.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
the whole family's looking for me, and I'm like, I'm sorting laundry. You cannot find me. Since none of you have ever sorted a damn thing in your life.
So it's so alien to them.
Yeah, you have no idea. Yeah. It's my happy time. It's rather sad.
Do you have happy moments where you go, someplace you do, something you do? Do you is the yoga?
Yeah, it does. And then also when I walk, especially nice out in nature, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Real well.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever go down to Forest Park Nature Center?
We have, and I think the last time my son took me, he made a mistake and picked the long trail, and I had been getting over an ankle injury.
Oh no.
That was so hard.
There's a couple of those.
Yeah. Now there's a nice flat trail.
Yeah.
There. It's actually wheelchair accessible, so.
Yeah.
But that's like my
That's
favorite
good
place to
yeah.
go. That's my
That's
favorite place to
good.
go.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
we vary ours. We go out to, my son always says, eyeball kiss.
The eyeball place?
Yeah. Illinois Eye Center.
Oh, okay.
We don't go there, but there's a, the lake and the walks that between there and the health center.
Okay.
That you can walk. Or Grandview Drive, but we haven't been doing Grandview Drive as much.
Uh-huh.
And Proctor Trail.
Yeah, there's a trail
Those are
right
nice,
around.
yeah. Those are
it's
nice,
just
yeah.
kind of
Those are
vary
good.
it a little, so a person isn't walking same little
There's
places.
a lot of studies that show that the more nature green you get, the healthier you are and the quicker you heal.
Well, I think when you have time to kind of think to yourself, maybe relax a little and so forth.
You don't feel like you do, but I think that's just because you're busy reacting instead of
Yeah.
acting.
That's the thing.
You know what I mean?
Reacting
You're
to
just
things.
and you kind of
You can't get ahead of it.
no, but you never will be. It's like pushing back the ocean with a broom. You're never going to be ahead of it. And
That's
there was a funny meme that I saw on Facebook that just made me cackle because it was like, there are a certain number of things that I'm, that will always need to be done. And so why do I care if I'm sitting not getting them done right now? I mean, like what am I,
It's kind of my philosophy.
Sometimes
Well, unfortunately,
it's always
the
gonna
next
be
day,
there.
but
Yeah.
I'm on the go so much. Just
Yeah.
have a hard time getting things done. I should.
Yeah. Well, priorities.
Yeah.
Priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Walk into my house and know what my priorities are and what they aren't. Mail is not a priority.
Oh my God, there's stacks of it. Stacks of it. And if you wait long enough, you never have to go through it
That's
because
right.
it's just out of date.
Exactly. Just wait till your red envelope shows up.
Yeah, there you go. Then.